Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the Marksman using Multishot. Multishot will be your only DPS skill that you're using, and in order to sustain it, because it does have a mana cost, we're going to be running a low life Marksman, so that when we shift, we get back 48 mana. So between shifting and Multishot, you'll get a bunch of benefits. You'll also have Decoy and Smoke Bomb going off for more benefits. You have Flurry on the toolbar for backup in case you're doing like just single target, one spot where you're going up against the boss in like the mono and you're using more mana than normal, in which shifting may just not be quite enough to keep it up, or either you'll have to take your time attacking the boss in order to keep your mana full. But with 48 mana back, that means you can have 4 shots of multi-shot and then shift again. And with cooldown reduction, you can shift every 2.7 seconds. So you can shift quite often and pretty much have 100% uptime unless you're just absolutely spamming it, on top of the cost of decoy and smoke bomb. So when you're in smoke bomb, you get the benefits of having, a huge base crit, 10% more base crit with smoke bomb. The decoy is obviously beneficial because it not only distracts mobs for you, but it also will give you a huge crit multiplier bonus based on how much dodge you had while it was active. Shift will give you more damage with your next skill use. It'll give you mana. It'll automatically consume a potion if you have one. And the reason those benefits are good is because with some of the uniques we're wearing, we've converted all potion. Instead of giving health, it will now give ward. So you get almost 800 ward whenever you pop a potion. You also get ward when you shift. So between those two things, it really helps with your survivability to just keep bouncing around. And you don't have to manually use the potion. If you're a big APM person, maybe not take that node because you'll manually use them when you need them. However, if you tend to forget a lot, the nice thing is shift will automatically use it for you. And because it's using it, it means you'll always have some missing. And that means that more of them are always going to be dropping. And on top of that, every time you use a potion, you get benefits because you're wearing Insanguius, you get more attack speed, you're immune to bleed, things like that. And then Multishot itself is just going to do a bunch of damage. You'll be critting mobs that are slowed for between 10 and 20k. You can hit the training dummy for 80k plus, depending on what buffs you're in. If you're inside of Smoke Bomb, if Decoy has recently, exploded and given you the crit multi-node boost. There's a lot of things going on with it. It's very fast paced. What's nice is you just keep shifting and shooting. So you don't really stand in one spot ever. You just kind of fly through the monos. You're constantly getting that full AoE with all the extra projectiles that you get with multi-shot. So it's super fun to play. And let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're running Flurry, Decoy, Shift, Smoke Bomb, and Multi-Shot. For Flurry, we have this as a backup for a mana generator in case we need it. It'll also boost your damage and attack speed with the Adrenaline Rush buff. So if you do want that buff, if you're like in a fight with the bosses, you can use it. You can get more mana back with it. However, I found myself very rarely ever using it, because multi-shot and shift can kind of give you your mana back, and you just have to play through. It doesn't make your playthrough any slower, but you can get enough mana back to use multi-shot a few times and then shift again, and the cooldown is so low on shift that you can generate quite a bit of mana. Like I said, the only time you ever really run into a problem is on a single target boss that has a lot of life, basically just the mono bosses. But for Flurry, we have 2 points in Deep Strikes, 3 points in Precision, 3 points in Alacrity, 2 points in Relentless, 5 points in Adrenaline Rush, 2 points in Exhaustible, and 3 points in Strained Reflexes. For Decoy, we're using Decoy basically to debuff the enemy, buff ourselves, and give ourselves some crit multi based on how much dodge that we have while it was active. Of course, it also taunts for us, which is also very helpful. We have 4 points in Embedded Spikes, 1 point in Backup Buddy, 1 point in Lasting Presence, 4 points in Into the Shadows, 1 point in Ambush. And you will ask why we have a Decoy charge if we are putting it on autocast, because you never really save that extra charge. It's because people who don't like autocast won't use it, and having 2 charges is always nice. And when I go up against bosses and things, or if I am not in the mono or I'm somewhere where I want to cast it myself, it's nice to have, because you can save up 2 charges for when you know the attacks are going to be coming or when you see a big train coming. Now, this 1 point in Ambush is what gives you that critical multiplier per dodge chance. So if at any time while it's active you have 75% dodge if you hit that max cap, which is possible if you take enough points in Shift for the dodge per dex, you will be able to get 75% critical multiplier for 4 seconds after your decoy has disappeared or exploded. We have 3 points in efficient construction for mana efficiency, 2 points in sonic detonation, which now emits a sonic wave when it appears. This will inflict ferality and armor shred, 2 stacks of each, onto the enemies that are hit by it. If you are inside of it, which if you cast it close enough to yourself you will be, you get haste for 2 seconds. And then we have 2 points in ear shatter so that it applies 2 more stacks of armor shred, and the duration of armor shred is increased by 30%. For shift, we have this set up to give us jade arrows, which increase our critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier of bow attacks. We have more damage, and we'll have haste, and we'll have potion use when we shift, and we'll have mana gained when we shift. So we have 2 points in shadow recuperation just to unlock the jade arrow. Whenever we shift, we'll get 4 jade arrows, which means that we'll shift, get 4 arrows. You can use multi-shot 4 times and then shift again. That's the best setup that you can do with it. And you have enough mana gained from shift to support using multi-shot 4 times. And that allows you to basically have a perfect synergy with it where you shift, 4 arrows are used for extra damage and crit chance, and then shift again. And you get ward for shifting. So there's 2 skills back and forth. Like I said, it's just a great synergy for them. So when you use this, you'll also have a 30% chance to poison, and then with 5 points in jagged arrows, you get 75% more critical strike multiplier. So you're more likely to crit, you crit harder, and you do a little bit of poison chance, which we're not a dot build, so that part doesn't really matter. We have 4 points in swift recovery, so that we get 48 mana whenever we use shift, which is huge. That's a lot of mana back for just shifting around every 2.7 seconds. We have 3 points in velocity, so when we shift to the next attack that we do, multi-shot will do 30% more damage. 1 point in momentum, so that you gain buff duration of haste for just the half second. And 1 point in emergency flask, so that you'll automatically use a potion every time that you shift if you're below half health, which you will always be in this low life build. If you don't want to automatically use the potion, you can either opt into momentum for another point for a 1 second duration, or you can get the more damage so that the first multi-shot you use after shifting does more damage. For smoke bomb, while you are in smoke bomb, you are much more defensive and you're a lot more offensive. For Smoke Bomb, we have 5 points in Lingering Fumes to increase the duration, 5 points in Shadow Hunter to give you 10% base crit chance with bow attacks. So whenever you are in Smoke Bomb, you're basically guaranteed to crit, especially with multi-shot. You will always crit while inside of it. You'll crit a lot while you're not in it, but when you're in it, it's guaranteed. We have 1 point in Generosity, 1 point in Enfeeblement, so that Frowdy will be applied to all enemies that are in Smoke Bomb every second. 3 points in Moonlight Bomb, so the initial burst grants you Silver Shroud, which means that you'll gain 3 stacks of it, and you'll dodge the next attack, which will then consume all 3 stacks and give you 300 ward. We have 1 point in Shrouded in Darkness, so that you can start getting Dust Shrouds every second, and with 4 points in Rapid Concealment, it's every half second, so you can get up to 8 stacks, which gives you a bunch more dodge rating and a bunch more Glancing Blow. The Glancing Blow will reduce the damage you take on hits, and that dodge obviously will help you in 2 ways. One, it'll help you dodge, and then if you have Decoy active, it'll help get your percentage of dodge up, so that you'll get more crit multi when Decoy disappears. And then for multi-shot, this will be your main damaging and pretty much only damaging skill as long as you're not using Flurry. We have it set up to have double shot, to have as many projectiles as possible, and to do as much damage as possible. We have 1 point in efficient draw for some mana efficiency, 1 point in strong pull, which will reduce your attack speed but give you 55% more hit damage, 1 point in keep pushing them around for the knockback. This is very, very useful as it keeps the mobs away from you. It even moves bosses. There's nothing it won't move, and it procs often enough that you can keep things from being able to melee hit you. We have 1 point in sniping for more damage and projectile speed, 3 points in pinning shots for 60% more damage against slow targets, 2 points in large quiver for 4 extra arrows, 4 points in true strikes for 300% increased crit chance, This will raise you to right around 100% crit chance with it. You're more like around 75 to 80%. However, whenever you're in smoke bomb, you're instantly, that 10% base is boosted by this, so that you're at 40% just from that one thing, and that's what keeps you at 100% crit while you're in smoke bomb. We have 2 points in critical arrows for 30% more critical multiplier, 2 points in quick draw for some attack speed, 1 point in back to back so that you'll double shot every 8 attacks, and 2 points in repeater bow, so that's actually every 4 shots. So basically what will happen, you will shift, you use multi-shot 4 times, the last one, or whatever cycle you're on, will get a double shot, so somewhere in that 4 cycles you'll get a double shot. So technically, you shift, you do 4 attacks with multi-shot, you get 5 multi-shots that proc, and then you shift again. For passives, we have 27 points in the Rogue base class, with 8 points in Swift Assassin, 8 points in Steady Hand, 1 point in Guile. Now, because we're moving and shifting so much and you're constantly basically wanting to move, we have Evasion, 5 points, so that we take 25% less damage while moving, and we have 25% more dodge rating. And 5 points in Agility, so that whenever we crit, we gain haste, which allows us to move even faster. And all of our sources of all that movement speed also gives us increased damage. We get 1% more damage per 1.5% movement speed. It's actually vice versa. You get 1.5% more damage per 1% move speed, but this gives you a huge boost, almost 100% damage when you have all your haste active. 0 points in the Blade Dancer, and 65 points in the Marksman, with 8 points in Draining Arrows, 5 points in Assassin's Quiver, 5 points in Woundmaker, and 6 points in Heightened Sentence for that bow critical strike multiplier. We have 8 points in Concentration. You basically never want to get hit, and you'll have almost 100% increased damage, which is huge. We have 8 points in Meditation for that base dodge rating, and it reduces the concentration cooldown from 4 seconds down to just over 2 seconds. So when you do get hit, you only have to wait 2 seconds to get that buff back for your damage. And then 8 points in Reflection for increased move speed and increased dodge rating. The move speed is, again, more damage. You're getting 1.5% damage for 1% move speed, so that's technically 12% more damage from Reflection. We have 1 point in Arrow Storm, 1 point in Covering Fire, 1 point in Rain of Arrows, 4 points in Sharpshooter, 6 points in Sniper's Gambit, 2 points in Ethereal Arrows, and 2 points in Master Archer for those additional multi-shot arrows. Now you're probably wondering why we didn't take Barrage. Barrage heals you too much. You end up having too many problems with Barrage, so you do take a little bit of a crit multi damage hit, but you do enough damage from other spots. Like I said, we're still critting the training dummy for 80k. You can still hit mobs for 10 to 20k damage. Now what ends up happening here is you put 1 point in Barrage of Pain, and now you can have 5 stacks, and then with 5 points in Perfect Aim, you're getting 10 health per crit per stack. And since you have 5 stacks, you'll get 50 health, and if you crit, 5 times, you gain 250 health, which is 25% of your health. And then you fire multi-shot 4 times and do that 4 times, you're to full health in just a matter of seconds. So unfortunately, these two don't synergize with low life at all, and so we just stayed away from it. For items and idols, we have 2 types of idols that we're wearing. There's also a few others that you can choose from, but basically you want to have % increased damage per arrow with multi-shot, so that you'll do way more damage with it. We also have increased bow critical strike chance, and then our other one, we have % chance to slow on bow hit. And the reason that that's important is that one allows you to get that 60% more modifier at a multi-shot without putting slow on much else, because you can't get it inside the skill tree without wasting points, because you only get like a 10% chance there, so it makes more sense to put it on items. And since we're using a unique bow weapon, you can't put it on that either, so you only have your quiver to put it on, and there's really not much else you can get it on. I mean, you can get on like Viper Tail, but we don't want to wear that unique, as we have other uniques that we're wearing. So try and get it on your idols so that you have the highest chance of proccing it, or you can use a crafted weapon, which will give you less arrows but can do about the same amount of damage. The other suffix that you can have is Armor Shred on bow hits, so that you can just do more damage in general against like bosses as you stack down the Armor Shred. For items, you can see we're wearing 5 uniques, which is a lot of uniques for a build. However, some of these aren't really necessary. You can get it down to 3, but 5 of them for us is how we like to play it. So we'll start with the bow. We're wearing Draco's Compass. You can get this from Gambling, the longbow. And it's super nice because one, it decreases the cost of multi-shot, and two, increases the amount of arrows that you get with multi-shot. And 4 more arrows is more damage from every source that you have, more damage per arrow with multi-shot, which is huge. It also comes with the most base bow physical damage that you can get, and it has the most added bow physical damage that you get, which means it's going to hit like a truck. Now, if you craft an item, I would craft a bow that has critical strike multiplier along with, I believe, what is it called? It's not the longbow. I don't have one with me, but the bow has critical strike chance with bow attacks and critical strike multiplier on it, and it comes with 48 bow physical damage, which is still a lot. And then you can add bow physical damage and put bow damage on it increased. With those two things, you can also put slow on hit, armor shred on hit, and other things, which really make it almost just as comparable as this. However, you do lose the 4 extra arrows that you gain with the Draker's Compass, which can hurt the damage overall a little bit. So again, you can go crafted, you can go with the unique. Either way, it's still going to be a viable build. Now, the 2 uniques for low life that you obviously need and can't go without is Insanguius and the last steps of the living. Now, we will be using potions, which is nice because that means that you're going to get increased attack speed and movement speed whenever you use a potion. So not only when you shift will it give you haste, but because you have used a potion, if you have one, which they drop like crazy, so you should be able to pick some up, you'll also gain movement speed, which means you also get a damage boost from this. So Exanguius really does synergize quite well with this. The other 2 uniques we're wearing is Strands of the Soul. This gives you extra ward, up to 320 more ward on potion use. You get 100% of your mana spent gained as ward. It gives you some ward retention, it gives you some ward on kill, it gives you some ward on per second, which is just huge for this build, as it's going to keep your ward up there when you do take a few hits, and it's going to definitely increase your survivability. And then for the amulet, we're using Ecthra's Conundrum, which converts 100% of your potion health into ward, so you no longer will have to worry about potions giving you health and knocking down your ward generation from Insanguius and Last Steps of the Living. This will also make it to where you can't leech and can't regenerate health, which also both help with a low life build. Now, you do get 25% more physical damage while at full health, which you never will be, and I don't know why that's even on there. It would make so much more sense if it was more physical at low life, but hey, whatever. The benefits of this still outweigh it. Now, if you don't want to wear this many uniques, or you don't have this amulet, you can do a crafted amulet, and for a belt, you have different options. You can wear a Chains of Yours, which does the same thing. It will convert your health from potions into ward. It'll also give you 25% more ward gain, and you can wear this at a much lower level. The Strand of Souls is level 82 requirement, so that is quite high if you're not that high a level. I definitely recommend the Chains of Euros, and just craft your own amulet until you find this one that you need. Now, for our crafted items, we have a helm with set physical, increased cooldown recovery, increased damage per arrow with multi-shot, and 49 ward gained when you shift. For our bow, we have added bow physical, increased bow damage, chance to shred armor, and chance to slow on hit. For our rings, set fizz, set necrotic, elemental, and health. For the other one, we have dex, health, elemental, and set necrotic. For our gloves, set fizz, set necrotic, hybrid health, and flat health. And for our radiant crest, set fizz, set necrotic, health, and elemental resist. Alright, for the play style of this build, I like to put both Smoke Bomb and Decoy on autocast. Now, you don't have to. Obviously, there is way more efficient ways for survivability, say like endgame arena, if you're actually using Decoy when you need to and putting Smoke Bomb in a more, better location where you have it planned versus it just autocasting. However, I don't like to really think about them, and I just have them go off anyways because I'm not really running endgame at the moment. And then all you do is you just shift around and then attack. And that's all you have to do. Shift, attack, you get your mana back. And then after Decoy explodes, you're going to have some more crit multi. That's when we're doing the bigger crits. As you can see, we're critting for up to 60k with this setup on the training dummy. If you have slow and other buffs going, the more dodge that you have while you have the Decoy active is going to increase that crit multi. And as you can see, as long as we shift about every 4 attacks, we can keep our mana pretty much full at all times. and you're just going to go ahead and do a bunch. You just clear super fast. You're going to go through the monos. You're just going to shift, attack, and it allows for you just to keep your mana full and just keep going and speed run through. It does well against bosses. Since you're moving so much, it's very easy to be able to dodge attacks. It's easy to stay away from monsters, so your survivability is going to be quite high. And for our character sheet, as you can see, we're sitting at over 50% dodge when we have everything going. When we shift, it jumps up a little bit. You can definitely work some more dodge into it. We have capped resistances except for elemental. Our armor is extremely low, so you're not going to be able to take the big hits, but the good thing is you can easily move. You have so many sources of haste and movement speed. You're going to be able to just stay away from people and just keep moving and get away. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some more gameplay.